Have you woken up this morning with an annoying back pain and wondered what could be happening in your spine? Do the stabs, stiffness, or those fleeting discomforts that suddenly intensify sound familiar to you? Well, you are in the right place. In this video, we will talk about the spine, that fundamental axis that supports our entire body, and we will show you 10 red alert signs indicating that something is not right in there. But that is not all. We will also give you guidelines and advice to protect your back and prevent a minor problem from becoming a chronic enemy in your daily life. Before we begin, we would like to invite you to do two very simple things. First, tell us in the comments your age and the city from which you are watching. Second, subscribe and turn on the notification bell because every week we share high health information that can make a significant difference in your quality of life. If you are already subscribed, leave us a like to show that you are committed to your well-being. Let us begin. Most people assume that back pain is something normal that comes with age or from a momentary bad posture. However, the World Health Organization warns that up to 80% of the population could experience significant lower back pain at least once in their lifetime. The spine is not only composed of bones, our vertebrae, but also of intervertebral discs, ligaments, nerves, and muscles that work together to keep us upright, allow us to twist, bend, and even breathe properly. When some of these elements are affected, whether by poor posture, a sedentary lifestyle, overweight, or even stress, we begin to feel discomfort that we sometimes ignore, thinking that it will simply pass or that it is just something for one day. The danger is that a momentary pain can become a chronic problem if the early signs are not detected. This can lead to complications that limit our mobility, prevent us from working or performing daily activities, and may even result in invasive surgeries. Think about your routine. Do you spend hours sitting in front of the computer without getting up? Or perhaps you engage in physical activity in an improper way without warming up or stretching? Do you lift heavy objects without proper technique or sleep on a worn-out mattress? Small details in your everyday life can gradually harm your spine. The result can manifest as a simple pain, but also as stiffness, twinges when you move, or changes in sensitivity, such as tingling or numbness. There are very clear cases. Many people, upon feeling a slight twinge, think, well, it is just a matter of age, or it was probably something I carried. And they continue with their usual pace. Weeks later, that pain that seemed harmless intensifies and becomes constant. When they finally visit a doctor, there is already significant wear in the lower back area, nerve compression, or even a disc herniation beginning to form. That is why in this video we have gathered 10 signs or symptoms that might be telling you, hey, your spine is in danger, you need to take action. If you recognize some of these signals in your life, do not be overly alarmed, but do not underestimate them either. The important thing is to act in time. And of course, stay until the end of the video because we will also share some recommendations and habits that can help you keep your back much healthier. Before diving into the list of these 10 red alert signs, I want to invite you to stay until the end. In addition to these signals, we will give you tips on how to protect your spine. We will talk about exercises, stretching routines, ergonomic advice, and even a couple of simple tricks that you can apply daily. If you have ever felt stiffness, pain, or sudden blockages, believe me, this information will be very useful for you. And remember, if at any moment you identify with any of these signs, tell us in the comments so we can exchange experiences and help answer your doubts. Sign number 1. Persistent pain upon waking. Have you ever experienced a pain or stiffness in your lower back that takes several minutes to disappear in the morning? This is one of the most frequent signs that something is not right with your spine. It turns out that during the night, your muscles and intervertebral discs should rest and recover. If you wake up with continuous discomfort in the lumbar or dorsal area, it is possible that your sleeping posture is not adequate or that your mattress no longer provides the necessary support. We could also be talking about an inflammatory process that worsens with prolonged rest. Possible causes include a mattress that is too soft or sagging, sleeping in a posture that overloads the lower back, or even the presence of early osteoarthritis or disc problems. A common example is when someone says, I wake up as stiff as a board and need at least 20 minutes to feel normal. That excessive warm-up time may indicate that the vertebrae and discs are not receiving the proper support at night or that there are underlying muscle contractures. Quick tip: check your mattress and pillow. If they are many years old, it might be time to replace them. Also, practice some gentle morning stretches. Move your pelvis in circles, bring your knees to your chest, or perform the cat and cow stretch on the floor to release tension. Warning: if the morning pain intensifies every day and does not improve as the hours pass, it is essential to consult a professional. There could be chronic inflammation, a disc herniation, or a rheumatic problem that requires medical supervision. Sign number 2: prolonged stiffness after long periods of sitting. Another sign that is often underestimated is the difficulty in standing up after having sat for a long time. Imagine finishing a 2-hour movie on the sofa or getting up from your office chair. If you notice that your lower back and hips feel stiff and you need several seconds or even a minute to straighten up, we might be facing a symptom that your spine is suffering. A possible cause is that when you sit for extended periods, the intervertebral discs and ligaments compress in certain areas, and the back muscles remain in a shortened or tense position, such as the psoas or the erector spinae. When you stand up, these tissues protest. How to recognize it: if, upon standing, you have to slightly hunch and carefully straighten up because you feel a strong pull or tension in your lower back, that is a warning sign. Why it is dangerous: a sedentary lifestyle is one of the greatest enemies of your back. That stiffness, if not corrected, can evolve into chronic pain or more serious injuries when making sudden movements. Advice: try to take active breaks every 30 to 45 minutes. Stand up, walk a little, shake your arms and shoulders, and perform gentle trunk rotations. And, of course, adjust your chair height, screen position, and desk so that your posture is as ergonomic as possible. A typical case is someone in the office who, every time they get up, seems to need to lean on the desk as if they had become rusty. That stiffness is not just due to age, but to continuous overload that the spine should not have to bear. Sign number 3: tingling or numbness in the legs or arms. Have you ever felt a strange tingling or a numbness that travels from your back down to a leg or from your neck to your fingertips? This tingling or numbness, paresthesias, usually indicates that there is some compression or irritation of the nerves coming from the spine. Why it happens: the intervertebral discs may herniate or bulge, pressing on the nerve roots. Also, a misaligned spine could narrow the openings through which the nerves exit, producing that sensation of electric shock or falling asleep in the affected limb. Severity: it is not always a sign of something catastrophic, but if the tingling becomes repetitive, intense, or prolonged, it could indicate a serious neurological impingement. In some cases, it is accompanied by stabbing pain or cramps that prevent you from sleeping. How to detect it: pay attention if, for example, your right leg goes numb every time you sit for half an hour, or if you notice that turning your neck causes a tingling sensation in your arm. These patterns often repeat when there is compression in specific areas of the cervical or lumbar spine. Suggestion: if this sensation is occasional and mild, review your posture. Do stretching and mobilization exercises. But if it intensifies or is accompanied by loss of strength or reflexes, you should see a specialist, as it could be a sign of a disc herniation or spinal canal stenosis. Extra advice: manage stress. Emotional tension often increases muscle stiffness and can aggravate mild compressions. Practicing relaxation techniques or yoga can help release that pressure on the nerves. Sign number 4: pain that radiates to the buttocks or legs, sciatica. Probably the best known sign is the classic sciatic pain that descends from the lower back or buttock, runs along the thigh, and can even reach the foot. When this symptom appears, it is a clear indication that something is wrong in the lumbar area, closely related to the compression of the sciatic nerve. The most common origin includes lumbar disc herniations, protrusions that pinch the nerve root, or strong contractures in the piriformis muscle near the buttock. How to recognize it: it is often described as a lash or current that travels down the back of the leg. In some cases, it is accompanied by numbness, weakness when moving the foot, or pain when coughing or sneezing. Why you should not ignore it. When sciatica persists, it can cause muscle atrophy or even alter sensitivity. In addition, it is a sign that the lumbar discs are severely compromised. Immediate advice: relative rest, not complete bed rest, applying moderate local heat to relax the area, and if the pain is very intense, consult a physiotherapist or orthopedist. Specific stretches for the piriformis area or the sciatic nerve may bring relief. A common anecdote is that many people recall starting with a slight twinge in the buttock, ignoring it, and weeks later they could not walk without pain. Addressing these symptoms early can prevent the inflammation from worsening and turning into a chronic problem. Sign number 5. Difficulty maintaining a straight back. We come to the fifth sign, which is as simple as being unable to naturally keep an upright posture. Surely you know someone or even experience it yourself. After a few minutes of standing, you notice that you slouch or that your upper back rounds almost without you noticing. Origin: it may be due to a weakness in the postural muscles, lumbar, dorsal, and abdominal areas. It can also be due to contractures that push you to lean forward or an early onset of kyphosis in the dorsal region. Why it is a warning sign. Keeping your back straight should not require extreme effort. If you feel like you have to fight against your own body to avoid slouching, it indicates that your spine is suffering. Over time, this symptom can generate additional tension in the neck and shoulders, causing frequent headaches. How to identify it? Stand in front of a mirror with your feet parallel, relax your shoulders, and try to align your neck with the rest of your spine. If in less than a minute you feel fatigue or pain in the middle of your back, your postural muscles are failing. Advice: strengthening your core, deep abdominals and lower back, helps tremendously. Exercises such as planks or yoga postures that open the chest and strengthen the upper back are key to regaining proper alignment. A common story: people who work in front of a computer or use their mobile phone develop what is called a forward head posture and a rounded upper back. Over the years, this can lead to kyphosis, generating breathing problems and greater fatigue. Act as soon as possible to reverse this poor posture. Sign number 6. Sharp pain after lifting weight or making a sudden effort. This symptom is classic and yet one of the most ignored. Think of that time when you lifted a heavy object in a bad posture, perhaps a box, a suitcase, or even when carrying your grandchild, and you felt a sudden stabbing pain in your lower or upper back. Often we attribute it to a muscle strain and do not give it much importance, but it can be the beginning of a more serious problem. What happens in the spine? When we make a sudden effort or lift weight incorrectly, bending your back instead of your knees, for example, the intervertebral discs and ligaments are subjected to an instant overload. This can cause micro tears, disc herniations, or inflammations in the tissues surrounding the vertebra. Warning sign: if the pain does not disappear within a couple of days and instead intensifies, especially when bending or rotating your torso, there may be a more serious injury. You might also notice a muscle spasm that prevents you from straightening up or moving freely. What to do? Relative rest is recommended, meaning not complete immobility, but avoiding intense efforts while the area recovers. Apply cold during the first 48 hours if there is acute inflammation, and then use gentle local heat to relax the muscles. If the pain persists for more than a week or is accompanied by tingling or weakness in the legs, consult a specialist. A frequent case is that some people remember a cracking sound or a clack right when lifting a heavy object, and from that day on they lived with recurrent pain in the lumbar region. That cracking could have been the disc coming out of place or a ligament injury. Sign number 7. A stinging sensation when turning the neck or waist. Have you ever experienced that when turning your neck to look behind you or rotating your waist to reach something? You feel a brief but annoying twinge? This small sting can occur both in the cervical and lumbar regions. Common reasons include osteoarthritis. The wear of the vertebral joints can cause rubbing or pinching of the nerves when we make certain rotational movements. Muscle contractures can also be responsible. If the muscle is tense or there is a knot in the trapezius, scalene, or lumbar area, the rotation may compress a nerve or abruptly tense the fascia. Lack of joint lubrication can also occur in people who move little, losing flexibility in the vertebrae and causing those stinging sensations. Why it is a warning sign? An occasional sting is not a cause for panic, but if it becomes recurrent or more intense, it may indicate that the alignment of the vertebrae is failing or that the discs are degenerating. In addition, the person may start avoiding certain movements for fear of pain, which leads to stiffness and worsening of the condition. Recommendations: use moderate local heat before engaging in activities that require twisting or bending to prepare the muscles. Do gentle and controlled joint mobility exercises. Neck and waist rotations, pausing at the point of resistance to avoid forcing the movement. If the pain increases, a physiotherapist or chiropractor can evaluate if there is a misalignment in the spine or a chronic contracture. Warning: it is important to differentiate between a superficial muscle sting and a deep pain that seems to come from the vertebrae. If it extends to the arms or legs, or is accompanied by tingling, it suggests nerve involvement. Sign number 8. Pain that worsens when coughing or sneezing. This sign is very characteristic of disc problems, especially in the lumbar or cervical region. Have you noticed that some people put their hand on their back when sneezing and complain of a lashing pain? Why it happens? When you cough or sneeze, the pressure inside the abdomen and the spinal canal suddenly increases. If there is a disc herniation or protrusion, that increase in pressure pushes the disc against the nerve root, intensifying the pain. It can also occur in cases of severe muscle contractures, where the force of the sneeze causes the muscles to tense even more. A sign of a possible herniation is if you notice that every time you sneeze, you feel a stabbing pain that travels down the leg or rises toward the neck. It is very likely that your discs are suffering from compression. Obviously, it is not always a herniation. It could be a simple overload. But the more recurrent and intense that reflex pain is, when coughing or sneezing, the greater the suspicion. How to differentiate it? If your back pain only appears during very strong coughs or sneezes and then disappears, we might be dealing with something mild. However, if it persists and every time you cough you feel a lashing pain, it is advisable to seek medical evaluation. Notice if your pain is accompanied by numbness or cramping in any limb. What to do? Avoid postures that overly strain your back during bouts of coughing. Apply physiotherapy techniques and gradually strengthen yourself to reduce the risk of disc protrusion. If the pain becomes sharp and constant, magnetic resonance imaging is a useful test to rule out significant herniations. Sign number 9. Noticeable asymmetries in the shoulders or hips. This 9th sign can be seen at a glance when you look in the mirror. One shoulder is higher than the other, one hip protrudes more to one side, and your clothes do not hang symmetrically. You might think it is a matter of posture, but in reality, it could be indicating misalignments in your spine. Possible causes include scoliosis, an abnormal lateral curvature of the spine that manifests with one shoulder higher, or a rotated hip. Pelvic tilt. The pelvis is inclined, perhaps because one leg is slightly shorter or due to poor support. Or unilateral muscle weakness. Muscles on one side of the torso are more tense or weaker than on the other. Consequences. Over time, these asymmetries cause irregular wear of the discs and vertebrae because the spine is receiving unequal loads. This facilitates the appearance of chronic pain in the neck, upper back, or lower back, as well as nerve impingements. How to notice it? Look at whether the seam of your pants or skirt twists toward one side of your waist, or if your backpack or bag hangs differently on one shoulder than the other. Sometimes, by comparing photos of yourself, you realize the imbalance in your posture. Solutions: postural correction exercises and, if necessary, the use of orthopedic insoles in case there is a real discrepancy in leg length. Strengthening your core and retraining your gait are also important. A consultation with an orthopedist or physiotherapist is recommended in cases of significant scoliosis. Sign number 10. Sudden locking when making simple movements. Finally, the 10th sign that closes our list of red alerts for your spine. That moment when you suddenly try to bend down, stand up from a chair, or twist to grab something, and you feel an almost complete lock. It is as if your back becomes stuck, preventing you from continuing the movement. What it means: Generally, the locking may be due to an acute contracture in the paravertebral muscles or a momentary small joint pinch. The spine interprets that it might be injured and activates a defense mechanism that immobilizes the area. Why it is dangerous? These types of blockages are the prelude to more severe injuries, as you might force your posture to complete the movement and end up further injuring the spinal structure. In addition, they generate insecurity, causing the person to stop moving freely for fear of getting stuck again. How to identify it? It happens suddenly. You are about to lift something light, twist your waist, and suddenly you cannot move. The sensation of a pull or jam is immediate. It hurts when you try to undo the position, and sometimes you feel that you can only get out of that position with someone's help or very slowly. What to do immediately? Stop the movement and do not force it. Take deep breaths and try to relax the area. Apply gentle heat to reduce the contracture. Consult a doctor if the locking persists or happens repeatedly, as there may be an underlying disc or joint pinching. With this, we conclude the list of 10 red alert signs for your spine. You may not experience all of them, but even identifying one or two recurrently should be taken seriously. The good news is that, as you will see below, there are many ways to protect your back and prevent these symptoms from becoming a daily torment. Advice to protect the spine: how to protect it and prevent major problems. Now it is time to look at those habits and routines that can make a difference in your spinal health. If you have made it this far, it is a sign that you care about your well-being. Take note of these tips. 1. Postural hygiene. Maintain the natural curvature. Our spine has physiological curves: cervical, dorsal, and lumbar. Avoid forcing them by sitting or bending incorrectly. How to sit correctly. Keep your buttocks well against the backrest, your knees at the same level as your hips or slightly below, and your feet supported on the floor or on a footrest. The computer screen should be at eye level. Lifting objects: bend your knees and keep the object close to your body instead of bending your back. Do not twist your waist while lifting. 2. Strengthening and stretching exercises. The importance of the core. The abdominal and lumbar muscles establish the foundation for a healthy spine. Exercises like front and side planks or the glute bridge help to stabilize the area. Daily stretching. Dedicate at least 10 minutes to stretch your hamstrings, piriformis, psoas, and upper back. This reduces accumulated tension and prevents blockages. Gentle routines. Yoga, Pilates, or joint mobility exercises are excellent for those who want to improve flexibility and strengthen the muscles without sudden impacts. 3. Micro-active breaks. Every 45 to 60 minutes, stand up from your chair, walk a little, rotate your shoulders and head, shake your wrists, and stretch your lower back. This keeps the circulation flowing and releases tension. Small movements. You do not need to exert great effort. 1 or 2 minutes of regular breaks are enough to prevent your spine from suffering the pressure of staying in the same position. 4. Weight control and diet. Excess weight makes the lower back support extra load, increasing the wear on discs and joints. An anti-inflammatory diet. Opt for foods rich in omega-3, such as bluefish and chia seeds, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Reducing sugars and saturated fats helps to prevent inflammation. Hydration. Drinking enough water keeps the intervertebral discs more hydrated, improving their cushioning function. 5. Adequate rest. Choose a good mattress. It should be neither too soft nor excessively hard. It must adapt to your curves while supporting them without sagging. Sleeping position. The ideal is usually on your side with a pillow between your knees to maintain lumbar alignment, or on your back with a cushion under your knees. Sleeping on your stomach tends to strain the cervical and lumbar regions. 6. Professional attention. Periodic evaluations. If you have a history of injuries, herniations, or scoliosis, schedule regular checkups with a physiotherapist or orthopedist. Preventive physiotherapy. Do not wait for an acute pain episode to seek help. A personalized exercise plan can help you avoid crises. Avoid prolonged self-medication. Anti-inflammatory and pain relievers may mask the symptom, but do not solve the underlying problem. When should you go to the emergency room? Although most of these signs can be addressed with lifestyle changes or regular visits to a specialist, there are situations in which your back demands immediate attention. Intense and disabling pain. If you literally cannot stand or sit without extreme pain, and it does not subside within 24 to 48 hours, seek emergency care. There could be a fracture or severe compression, loss of strength or sensitivity, severe numbness in the legs or arms, weakness when lifting your foot drop, or constant tingling that does not improve. This suggests serious nerve compression, for example, cauda equina syndrome in the lumbar region. Urinary or fecal incontinence. This symptom is serious. If it occurs alongside intense lower back pain, you could have significant neurological damage in the sacral area. Fever, chills, or very localized pain. This could indicate a spinal infection, spondylodiscitis, or other complications. Do not underestimate it. Strong impacts or falls. If you have suffered an accident and the back pain is acute, imaging tests should be performed to rule out fractures or dislocations. In any of these situations, do not wait to see if the pain goes away on its own. Go to a medical center. It is better to prevent irreversible injuries or neurological complications than to regret later. If this content is proving useful to you, we ask that you give this video a like right now to support us and help us continue creating more health topics. Also, tell us in the comments, have you noticed any of these 10 signs in your daily life? Have you experienced sciatica, stiffness upon waking, or pain that worsens when sneezing? We want to hear from you and share additional guidance. And if you have not yet subscribed, now is the perfect moment to do so. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive updates about future videos on posture, exercises, diet, and many more suggestions focused on the well-being of your spine and your overall health. At this point, we have learned in detail about 10 key signs that warn us that the spine might be in danger. Persistent pain upon waking. Prolonged stiffness after long periods of sitting. Tingling or numbness in the extremities. Pain that radiates to the buttocks or legs, sciatica. Difficulty maintaining a straight back. Sharp pain after lifting weight or making a sudden effort. Stinging sensations when turning the neck or waist. Pain that worsens when coughing or sneezing. Noticeable asymmetries in the shoulders or hips. Sudden locking when making simple movements. Each of these signs can manifest with different intensities and may have various underlying causes. However, they all share one common warning. Do not ignore them. Acting in time can prevent more serious complications. Furthermore, you have seen that there are many ways to protect your spine and improve your quality of life. Take care of your posture when sitting, standing, and lifting objects. Perform specific strengthening and stretching exercises for your back and core. Take active micro breaks so that your spine does not suffer from remaining in the same position for hours. Control your weight and follow a balanced diet rich in anti-inflammatory nutrients. Rest on a proper mattress and watch your sleeping posture. Seek professional help and preventive physiotherapy when necessary. Remember that your spine is the pillar of your body, and its health affects almost every activity: walking, working, sleeping, and even your mood. Keeping it in good condition is not that difficult if you adopt healthy habits and, above all, listen to the signals your body sends you. Thank you for staying until the end of this long but necessary journey. We hope the information helps you detect any back problems in time and motivates you to put into practice the advice to protect your spine. If you enjoyed this content, share it with friends or family who may be experiencing unexplained back pain. Sometimes a simple video can make the difference between ignoring a problem and seeking the right solution in time. And see you in the next video, where we will go deeper into practical exercises for the lumbar and cervical areas, and we will discuss other recommendations to maintain an active life free of unnecessary pain. Until then, remember, your spine is your support. Take care of it with the importance it deserves.